We got beat by a team that played more with a purpose. We hung around as we usually do in the first quarter, but you can't stay alive in the ball game just shooting threes. You got to have a balance. You got to get the free throw line. You got to have post play. You got to have offensive rebounds. You got to have putback. And the most important thing is you got to have some stops. You got to have some stops. And it doesn't matter what we tried. It wasn't good enough. And if we could have used some of the energy that maybe a couple of the last plays did, but she was deep into her bench then. And we finally forced a couple of turnovers. We had 2 at half. They ended up with 6. The game is about possessions. And unless we force some possessions or let her perfect on offense and run our stuff, we are a half-court basketball team. We can be a transition basketball team against the press by making the correct passes like we did in practice and being able to score. Sometimes we were getting the ball with 15 seconds to go, and by then your offense is away from you and you do not have enough time to run your sets, and you end up playing somebody please make a 3 or we get an offensive rebound or whatever. They were very prepared. Hopefully this will knock them into the top 25. And Austin is good as advertised, but the other guards that were shooting wide open jump shots became very important to them because not a whole lot of them were contested. So we'll take the blame as a coaching staff, but eventually I just had 2 coaches come in. The lady that replaced me, Peggy Gillum, came in on her own to talk to our team. She was All-American, great player, WNBA coach, took my place, and she told them right off, that's not the swag that A&M is used to playing with, or the swag of the people that were here this last weekend. We're more into blaming each other. And then Van Chancellor came in, friend of mine who was coach at Ole Miss, coach of the Comets, coach of Cynthia Cooper, who has talked to our team about what it takes about playing hard. When things don't go your way, what can you do to get your basketball team back in it? We cannot just call the perfect play or expect to play perfect, but you have to know how to play. And I was really hoping how well our guys played last night when they were not shooting well would rub off on us. And it didn't one bit. And so we've got to get over this. Who's to blame? Who can't remember a play, and just learn how to play when things broke down, how to be able to make a simple basketball play or a simple read. But they played extremely well. Monk did a great job. She's been coming off the bench. Monk played very well. And see, that's why you don't need an All-American to have to go in there and get you 25 points. She sets it up for everybody else and does a great job. And that's what Austin is. That's what a team is. When we spend so much time trying to just stay in front of her, we let the other kids run their stuff a whole lot better than we were running our stuff. And I told Jordan, I said, if you get 8 assists in the ball game and we get beat by 20-something, something's wrong. Because when we run our stuff, we're effective. When we don't run our stuff, all we're doing is hooping, playing rec center ball, and that's not going to win for us in this league. We've got to have more organization, more delegation, and more accountability, and we'll get there. But as soon as you get us down, we'll find a way to get back on the horse and get ready to go play Missouri. Questions? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm going to the rookie. Go ahead.
Coach, you talked about this before. Obviously, you've been able to coach some pretty resilient teams throughout your career that have been able to make a turnaround after facing poor starts. Can you talk about how you might be able to see this team making a potential run soon?
It's only going to be a sense of urgency. And right now, we do not have that. We're trying to run the perfect play or the perfect screen or hope to get fouled and go make some free throws. We can do all of that. When you shoot 41% and whatever we shot from the three and 76% from the line, you think, boy, that's fixing to be a close game. It wasn't. Once that second quarter hit, they hit a couple of threes, and then we wilted. We just flat wilted. And maybe, should I go out and get a technical then? It wasn't one call that beat us. It had nothing to do with it. One call isn't going to do it. I've got to be able to coach that swag in a team and get kids to be able to make plays when something breaks down. And they were doing a good job of recognizing Hoppy's strengths and her weaknesses, and I thought they did a very good job on her. And we just got to get smarter. So I wish I knew the answers, but I'll go look in the mirror first, and the mirror is me. The mirror is me right now on what I'm not getting across to my young ladies. Robert?
You mentioned earlier about getting stops. So when you sometimes stats don't tell the deal. When you look at the stats, 25-2 edge in points off turnovers. And we look in your starters combined for I think 16 turnovers. Their starter only 3. So is the main thing that they're playing much better defense than you are, and they're getting easier shots, and you guys aren't getting easier shots when you analyze this game, because that's 25-2 is a huge difference in points off turnovers when all the other stats are pretty much even. Rebounding, shooting, 3-point shooting, but the deal was the points off turnovers and the possessions. You got less of them. So is that because their defense was that much better than your defense, or their offense was that much better than your offense?
I think both of those last answers, but the thing is, we're not near as quick as what we've been in the past years. And it is showing up on film, and opponents are taking that and they're going to either press us or they're going to just play hard man-to-man defense on us. I don't think we saw one possession of zone tonight. We saw all man, and sometimes we'd run down and the wrong person would be handling the ball or not running the offense. I've got to make up for our lack of athleticism to be able to put pressure on the ball. Like our men had pressure on the ball. We either got to gamble and start off with a press or a trapping zone or whatever. But we've got to be able to make things happen off the defense. And all of a sudden, we're running a perfect zone. What we're going to do, we're going to take Austin's touches away. She still got the ball whenever she wanted it.
And lack of quickness also hurt you on offense then, getting the shots?
Yeah.
Okay.
We had no room to create. Very few times did we reverse the ball. Anytime we did drive, Austin was somewhere in the middle, and we weren't going to put that ball up against her, which was probably a good decision. But then we've got to move to the open spots, be able to take the ball. And right now, I'm coaching as bad as we're playing. And until I do a better job of finding the game plan that's going to work for us and to be able to stay with it, or find the answers through substitution, it's on me. And we talk it well. I've got good leadership. But we missed a golden opportunity after a win to come in here and play the game like we know how to play, and we just didn't do it. And we've got to find a way, either offensively or defensively, to force turnovers, or at least get the rebounds, basically like what our guys did last night. They stayed in it because of defense and rebounding, and because Kentucky contested the hell out of those three-pointers, so they had no open looks. Eventually your threes are going to stop, and that's when you better be able to score on half-court offense or have some post play. John,
You've got it covered for me.
You good?
Any?
Question.
Go ahead.
Joining up with the battalion, in the second quarter, the Aggies were outscored 28-15, but in the third quarter, you were only able to score 6 points. Which of these margins is of greater concern or a more alarming statistic?
Well, the third quarter's happened too many times in conference play. Well, the set plays, we couldn't even run the first set play that we called in halftime correct. And that's with our ball on the side, not being able to execute. It takes offensive execution. When defense takes something away, there's always another option. There's always a ball screening next play if something is taken away. And like I said last week, when a quarterback looks over to his favorite receiver and he's being doubled or somebody's coming over and under, you go to your secondary. And the secondary, if they run their route as hard as the first guy ran his routes double covered, he'll be open. But then it takes the offensive line to hold them out long enough, or you can go through a progression. That's what it takes in basketball too. Go through your progressions, always know that we have options out there. But when it's not working, go back to the head coach. Always go back to the head coach. I didn't get it done. We had our men's practice team here for the first time since December the 5th. They helped us yesterday. First time we've had them. I had 7 guys there. And it was great. Yeah, we had trouble scoring on them. But I thought that would get us ready for Mississippi. But we hung in there. We did a few things, but I thought Mississippi played very well within themselves. And they had a lot of high-low post touches that we couldn't seem to get. If I had a team that was a great passing team, I'd run more of a true motion offense. But we're a team that has to run more sets to be able to execute what we want for the end result. We always run motion after a set, but after that set is over, you have got to be able to know how to play the ball, move the ball, reverse the ball. And it starts with me.